So as usual, how we start off a project is similar to your, the brief that you've been given. You've been given a map and pointers to where the site actually lies. So when we kind of take it up, we're looking at a very international audience and we're presenting to international people. So we really have to have the India map, and we don't start only with a smaller city map. So we actually explain to the audience where actually our site is in the context of the entire country, and then the city, and then the topography with it. So this site in particular is a very rocky site. It's about 70 meters of an uphill site. So if you see this, this is the mountains, and that's our site. We do similar site studies that you would do. We need to know what our exact contours on site are, what the contours are at the bottom, at the top, and that will enable us to design the building, the location of the building, whether we want it at the top, we want it at the bottom, we want it in the middle, and how the entire circulation of the building is going to happen. These are some site photos. And you'll see that you can see the entire Aravalli range across the spectrum. That's Udaipur for you in a dry state. Again, a few site studies that we've done. So if you see, this is the site contour. So if you see, it's about 100 at the bottom and 160 at the top. So we're looking at around 60 meters here and about 5-10 meters across at some other places. That's a site section that we've done to analyze our site. Another cross section. Now this becomes very important. This slide, because we're actually checking what the view is. So in any hotel, even if there is no view as such, and you build a building or you build a hotel right in the center of a city, you need to know what are the areas around your building. You need to know which is the south side, west side, east side, etc., because that's how you're going to position your rooms essentially. So essentially, the south side would have your the most revenue generating rooms if it's a resort, because that's where you're going to see the the entire sun coming out, and that's going to be the fun part of the room. Also, where the views are. If there's a stark building right in front, which is even just 3 meters away, then you really don't want to have a grand suite or even a room for that matter right in front of it. So it's essential that you are in command of what is around the site, so that when you think of it, when you're sketching, you should know where not to put a room, where you want the lobby, etc. You don't want someone looking, if it's a city hotel, you don't want someone who's drying clothes in front of your room. No guest is going to give you good reviews on TripAdvisor or anything. They're just going to criticize you, saying that, oh, look, we had a room which had a person drying clothes right opposite it. So these things become really very important when it comes to site studies for a hotel. So this is what was our first concept that we thought of. I'll show you a few more concepts. But essentially, when we started off, and when the first time that we went to site and we looked at the site right from the top, and we realized that this is where we want our lobby to be, because we wanted that wow factor for the hotel. So any guest that comes in has to be, you can't say that the guest, or when the guest goes to the room, the guest is going to like our hotel. The first thing is that on arrival, the guest has to say, oh, wow. Even if it's an airport hotel, even if it is someone who's coming to stay only for one night, even if someone's busy with work, they've come only for a conference, the entry has to be an important part when you design it. And because our hotel was about 60 meters high from the lowest point, we wanted our lobby to be at that point. So you could actually, when you take a long winding road up, there's an experience that you're driving through a lot of greenery, and then when you enter, you actually turn around and then you look at the lobby, and that's when you get that wow factor and the entire view, 360-degree view of the entire project. So when we started off, we did two things. We started off thinking, where will our rooms be and where will our lobby be? And these two are the most important factors when you actually take a paper and a pen and start sketching. So you know where to enter, and you know where you want to have your rooms, and then everything will fall into place very easily. So if there's a banquet, you know that the banquet has to be next to the lobby. You know that either if there's a second entry for your hotel, then it has to be another one for the banquet and then one for the kitchen. So when you decide where your lobby is and your rooms, where you're going to really have your rooms, then everything else will fall into place very easily after that. So we've just blown that up for you to understand. So we wanted, when we started off, we wanted a kind of a river flowing through the entire property, which right now the client thinks is very expensive, and we've kind of junked it and we've given only pools. But our main thing was that we wanted to play with water. Though Udaipur is a city of lakes, storing water sometimes becomes a bit expensive. But our entire concept was treating the entire building with a lot of water. And so these are just images of how we've kind of thought of the building. We thought of the building as a V. You know, when you kind of separate the building out, when you give 2 or 3 wings of the building, you can get more number of rooms. So even if your building, even if your plot is very narrow, you should look at maximizing the rooms. Eventually, that will be revenue generating. So a hotel runs only on rooms. So even if you have a restaurant, you have a banquet, essentially the number of rooms matter, and more the rooms, more the revenue for the owner. So this is just breaking it up. So this is how, you know, the first thing that I've not shown you anything, but I've shown you the positioning of the rooms, and this is how we did it. Though we sketched everything, the rooms was important because we needed to know where the views of the rooms are going to be. And that's how we decided, when we kind of split it as a V, we get these rooms all across. So you get 360 views of I mean, 360 direction view. Again, the entry, and you know, like a function lobby and the ballroom. In Udaipur, for that matter, uh, a lot of destination weddings take place. So the ballroom becomes a very important part of designing, because you're not going to have too many visitors coming in just like that. But it's important also to assess which area it is in. Like if it's an airport hotel, what are you kind of driving at? If it's in Bombay, if it's near the new airport, you're going to have a lot of people coming in from smaller cities as well in Maharashtra. They want a Bombay wedding. So you could also think of your hotel like that. When we talk of airport hotel, we're only talking in our head. It becomes a very commercial thing, that someone's going to come for a night and, you know, hop, skip, and jump to another city, or they're coming in for a conference, etc. But nowadays, a lot of people want to do weddings in important places. So if your hotel is in Bombay, even near the airport, it could be a nice grand ballroom, which could either sell as a conference as well as a wedding destination. So when you design, it's imperative that, you know, in your head, you know what you're designing for. You shouldn't go to and fro. You should make a list and stick to that right till the end. Okay, I'm designing for a conference. This hotel will generate revenue from a conference, or it's just going to have rooms. Then you can reduce the conference. But I feel that in today's time, hospitality, you should really have everything planned out in a hotel, because you never know if a pandemic strikes and you can't really give out rooms, but at least you can have functions with the ballroom. So things like that you need to think of when you start sketching. These were the villas that we planned. Because of the height, we you know, decided to step the villas down in that fashion. We, because it's Udaipur, we needed 2 ballrooms. So one was a junior ballroom and a main ballroom. So this is the smaller ballroom, right, with a function lawn. It's also, again, it's important that if you have a ballroom, you should have a garden next to it. That's easier. So the way that you move is, you have a lobby, you have a ballroom, and then you have a lawn, and that will give you the best kind of circulation possible. Again, a parking building. We thought we'll have some nice recreation right at the uh, entry. So this is how the building, like a section of the building, stands right now. And if you see that it's really stepped up because of this 60 meters. But if you see, this is our hotel lobby, and this is the view that you're going to get. You're right, really at the top. You're 70% at the top here, and then we've got a nice dome happening here, which will give a nice elevated lobby feel to it. That's how that's the way we've imagined it. That's the way we've envisaged the entire building, that you have a central dome and then you have the nice little arches flowing around it. And I am a fan of the V-shaped hotels, where you have a central lobby and then you'll kind of have these two wings. So currently, two of the projects that we're doing, one at Jodhpur and at Udaipur, we're having this kind of system, where a central lobby with the wings of the hotel on either side. And so that's how the hotel, some sketches, preliminary sketches that we did. So this started off first in my head, where we come up and have the dome, etc. here, and the pool and the view. So this was the highlight, and my entire design that we've kind of conceptualized has been on this thing, the wow factor, as you come. And two arrival points actually. One is which I've kept harping on, with the lobby and the view, and the second is when you come at the bottom. We wanted a nice palace looking feel to the entire structure, but the entire concept has been driven by a central focus from the lobby, and then the remaining of the building has fitted in. Again, some of the sketches that we've got. Yeah, some. I think these were done on SketchUp, if I'm not mistaken. Just blocks. I'm a little technologically challenged, so. Yeah. So this is essentially the entire site plan that we've finalized. And if you see, we've still retained a lot of water. The blue is the pool areas. We've tried to give a lot of pools for the rooms in front of it, which really works for a resort. But for an airport hotel, it really won't work. But you could have two pools if you want, one for a recreation pool and one for the foreign travelers, if you're expecting a lot of travelers. And also, when we sit in front of the client, we kind of weave a story, and you tell them, that you're going to get these people, and then how they will come in and how they will enjoy it. And I think similarly, I think you guys also need to weave a story for your project. And once you do that story for how the traveler will be coming in, or if you can imagine yourself going to any hotel, and what is your best experience of a hotel, I think you'll be really able to design a fantastic piece of design. So this is at the bottom, this is, again, as I said, the arrival on the top is important, but it's equally important that when the guest actually enters the hotel, there has to be a click in his head saying that, oh, now I've entered my, where I'm going to spend the next 2 or 3 or 4 days. And that click has to happen, and he has to love it right at the beginning. So when we designed, we were inspired by a lot of forts, etc., a lot of palaces and forts. So what we did is we actually had a little kind of a how do I say, we kind of divided the site. So we come in, and then there's a pause here where the security happens, so we don't really line up on the road. And that is a very important thing when you're designing any hotel, that you don't want people to queue up on the road. And that really doesn't give a good picture, because if you're just having someone pass by and they're going to be like, oh, this hotel's so bad, there are people lining up in a car outside. And so every security check that happens in a building has in a hotel on its premises has to happen a little inside the property. And even if it's a small site, it is important for us to design a good entry. it's easy for us to say, oh, the porch is right next to, right in front of us. Uh, a good example could be Four Seasons, where you actually, as soon as you enter, you know that the porch is in front, the building is right in front, but the way they've kind of taken you to the uh, to the porch is interesting. Though we still have cars lining up outside, but it's an amazing effort, because I don't know how many of you all have been there, and I think you all should visit a lot of hotels to see these things. For the entry, I don't like St. Regis, and I'm talking of Bombay hotels because we're designing something in Bombay. You guys are designing something in Bombay. St. Regis has a little dull entry, though I love the hotel, but the entry is a bit warped, where you come under you come under those 10 columns, and then you turn around and you get to the entry, and it's so badly designed, and which is why if you go today, they'll have a different route to get to the lobby, and if you go maybe 2 months later, they'll have a different route. So they keep changing it. Whereas Four Seasons, which is also so close to Regis, with lesser space, has a much better entry into the porch. So this is just for us in Udaipur, celebration was important. So we've really concentrated on the upper function lawn, and we've kind of got a nice inspired design. And it's a large function lawn to kind of have open terrace weddings. Just a blow up of the entire hotel. So this is your driveway, which is at number 1, and you're coming right through as you go till 12, and you come in at 12. That's our entry. We have a satellite lobby. The satellite lobby is something that you see at St. Regis, where you come in, but you don't come in right at the reception, or you don't come in right at the lobby. What you do is you come in an area that, and it's a kind of a it's a break, where you get out of your car, you come in, people will serve you water, etc. Take a break there, and then take the elevators up to the main lobby. Though I'm not suggesting that that's a good idea, but the reason we did it is that when we designed the guests to go directly to the lobby and have the wow effect, but we realized that on site that we were actually constructing a flyover because of our site condition. We were actually going 10 meters above, and this was something that we needed to tweak later. So we actually made a satellite lobby so that we could save a little money in terms of design and not build a large RCC bridge on top to get to the lobby. If you see 16, 18, 15 on the left side, these are pools for the rooms in front. 29, 20, 24 is all the, and say 21, 27, 28 on the other side, either side of 13 is where the central activity takes place around the pool, and the rooms are on 29 and 28. So the building actually keeps getting smaller, and 29th and 28 are the thinnest part of the building on top. Now, as I said, the porch. So one is your entry into the gate, and the other important thing is the porch. Now, why these two things are very important is that this could make or break your experience with the guest. Because if he has a torrid time, when he enters, and he's waiting for the car to come, and there are 3 cars in front, and he's just going to go in the lobby frustrated and start complaining. So it's important that you give a wide porch, nice parking around it for the VIP, and the porch needs to be wide enough to actually have cars whose guests have not come in to actually enter the hotel. This is the satellite lobby in front. So this is where we don't really, we've decided not to cover it up with glass and all, and just leave it open with large arches. And then maybe we could have someone serve you water, maybe tea or a welcome drink. And then you head to where if you see the passenger elevators in pink, and that's where the 2 passenger elevators are. So now this is how the building, I'll just run you through the plans. And then I'll kind of detail out how, I mean, this is too much of detail, but if you see, these are the water tanks, the rooms on the lowest room, and then the building starts rising up because we've taken the contour into effect. So the building starts becoming a little bigger here. If you see the colored portion, they are the rooms. Okay. Now, when you say that, when I say that you've given a room on the top which is V-shaped, we've actually double loaded the corridor, which means that the corridor has two doors on either side, on the left and the right, and the corridor is in the center of two rooms. And that is when we say it's double loaded. And this, if you see where the colored rooms are, that is a single loaded corridor, where the rooms are only on one side. If you see there's a BOH written, so BOH is the back of the house. So what we've done is that if you know that we're coming in from the top, the service part we've actually given at the bottom. So sorry, I'll just run you through. So if you see 10 number, underneath 10 is where the service part of the building is. So if you see, this is the service road, which is right opposite number 1. So that is the service area for all the services, which is the AC, water tank, and even the staff that comes in for the hotel servicing. This is how we've designed the rooms and the pool. So we've kind of stepped even the rooms, and this stepping looks good now. We had a harrowing time designing it, but fortunately, because of the contour, we've ended up with something that looks like this, and we're happy now. And instead of just designing something straight, would have been a little bland. Yeah, this is so. As you now, we've again gone a little higher, and we've actually got the rooms around it. Again, the building is increasing, and this is the ballroom floor. So we've got ballroom access happening from everywhere. Actually, 3 places. From the top, we're entering from the lobby. We've got elevator banks on the side. So, the elevator banks is important and has to be designed along with the lobby and the rooms immediately when you're sketching. Don't think of adding them later because, the ballroom has the maximum number of traffic. So when you go to a jury, your jurors are also going to look at where your elevator bank is placed. So we usually kind of neglect it, and I've done this when I was in college, where we neglect the services part of it, like the elevators and all, and we start off with an elevation, we start off with planning on a larger scale of thing, and forget these small things. Staircase, elevators are never important. We kind of come and put them in later. Don't do that. That will get you really affected when your juror comes in, because he's going to look at this in a hotel. So it's important that you plan out and you also assess how many. So this is part of your story that you weave to yourself and then to your juror. Is that how many people are you expecting to come into this ballroom? So if you're expecting this ballroom to have about, this is having 1,000 people, but in an airport hotel, even if you're having about 400 to 500 people, you're going to have these elevators cater to that much crowd coming into the ballroom. So it's important that you design that many elevators. And if it means cutting down on a few rooms, so be it. But don't mess around with an elevator ever. So what we've done is we've actually kept 2 ballrooms together. So we've kept the main ballroom in the center, where you see these large columns, and on the left hand side, on the side, you'll see these a smaller ballroom. An important part of these ballroom is the kitchen. You need a kitchen right next to this ballroom. You can't say that I'll have a kitchen below and I'll have the ballroom on top, or vice versa. The kitchen has to be where the ballroom is, because all the food, there's no way that you're going to take up food for 500 people right from a lower floor into this ballroom. So again, one of the most important things is, when you talk of flow, you talk of a lobby, you talk of a pre-function, and you talk of a ballroom, and then a lawn, and right next to the ballroom, you talk of the kitchen. So this is how, when you do your flow charting, this is how you'll probably kind of know where your kitchen is going to come, and that kitchen has to be connected to the service area below. So sometimes what happens is, a common error is that we say that no, all the service should be on one floor. That really doesn't matter. The kitchen has to be near the ballroom, and then the services can be below that. That can be accessed by an elevator, but the main cooked food has to be at the same level as where it's going to be used. Even if it's a restaurant, don't think of having a restaurant on the top, unless it's a it's like one of these fancy terrace restaurants, which is okay. But if it's your main restaurant of the hotel, have the kitchen right next to it. If it means to eat out some space out of your hotel, out of your restaurant, it's okay. The kitchen has to be near it. The cooking has to be next to where you're going to eat it. So this is the ballroom. This is one of the most expensive parts of the hotel. When it comes to revenue, we had a lot of discussions for how do we kind of design this. And unfortunately or fortunately, we have the pool on top of this, which is unfortunately my doing. I got a lot of flack for it, but once the ballroom was ready and the clients went on top here and stood, and they realized why that pool had to come on top of the ballroom. Now, there are two ways of designing a ballroom. If you see, I put the columns right at the edge. Okay. Now, this is a little expensive proposition. What if you see, which for Rajasthan, I've been heavily inspired by the movie Padmavat, is that there are ballrooms where the corner columns are a little in the center, in the sense that you have a larger area here, and then you have a row of columns, and then you have a corridor on the side. So that is also a way you can design columns. Remember that most of the times that the columns have to be proportionate, in the sense that if you have rooms on top of the ballroom, you have to design it in such a way that the columns for the ballroom go right till the top. At least maybe, of course, reducing in size, but you can't have all floating columns on top. So a few columns, if you have rooms on the ballroom, can come and hit the roof of the ballroom. You can't bring them down, so those will become floating. But the essence of your structure will revolve around your ballroom, because that requires an open space. You cannot put a column right in front of the ballroom. If you do that, which I've done, which is on the side here where you have smaller columns, you call them meeting rooms, but you cannot call them a ballroom. It will never sell as a ballroom. So once you finish your lobby, you finish your rooms, then get down and you finish your rooms, and then you finish your elevator, banks, etc., and then move quickly to the designing the ballroom, because that will have an impact on the columns of your rooms above. So what we did is that this is our main pool now. It's a bit designed, and we've actually had the entire activity around that. Now, for an airport hotel, that may not be the case. You may not need to have an activity space around your pool, unless you have enough space and want to rent out this pool for guests to come out for a party, etc., for a pool party. Then you could have a little activity around that. But if it is only for foreigners coming to swim or guests coming to swim, then it could be a little more secluded. That again will depend on your story that you've kind of jotted down in your head. So if you see this ballroom below the section, you'll see what type of beams that we're looking at for a ballroom of this size. So this is a huge size. This is about 1,000 people can fit in, which is a little too big. So we've got the pool bar, which faces. So if you see, this pool is an infinity pool. That's where the view is. So we expected everyone to come and enjoy this space. So we've actually we did the pool. We decided the location of the pool, and then went around and deciding what we want around it. The pool bar was, of course, has to be near the pool because it's a pool bar. The all-day dining. The all-day dining is your coffee shop that we call it, where it's open 24 hours. And then you have a little like the gym, etc., on the top, right facing the pool. And what we've done is that the spa we had designed, near the pool as well, but Marriott came in and told us that don't do that, because we need a little secluded space for it. So what we did it we having a little the architect's ego, that we say that we've still given a small spa on the side, and we've given a staircase to go down, so we could have an express spa, which is like someone wants to do a spa for 20-25 minutes quickly and get out. Then that express spa can happen on the top where the pool is, and the remaining secluded spa can happen at the bottom, which is a quieter space. Again, now as you go up, this is the lobby. I've kind of detailed out the lobby. This, as is important, because this is going to This is going to give direction to your circulation. If you see, we've got 3 elevators on either side, which are passenger elevators. We've got a large passenger elevator lobby where someone comes in, main lobby, does the signing, takes the key tag, and then goes to the passenger elevator lobby. Newer concepts are coming is that, you can actually do away with the reception where someone signs in. Signing in, etc., will be done on a sofa sitting, near somewhere, and we could actually just have a small counter for a reception. You don't need one of those large, big counters. And for sure that we don't want to end up doing a large counter for this hotel, because then the minute we put a large counter, we are obstructing the view, because if you see, there are doors all around on one side, so the entire view will get blocked if we put any counter, etc. 3 elevators on one side and 3 elevators on the other. This is enough from the lobby. 3 elevators are good enough. Just to tell you, we've got 400 rooms in the hotel, so we've got 6 elevators for them in the front, plus 2. So if you look at it, we've got about 15 or 16 total elevators in this building, which is also service elevators. Now you need service elevators. So one service elevator could be enough for an airport hotel. But if you have 2 wings, then you need 1 each. But I would recommend, if you're clubbing the services, give 2. It's better, because otherwise your guests will complain about food not coming in time to their room. So 1 elevator should always be free for room service. And room service is also very important when it comes to guest experience. Now the room, as we go up, the lobby, if you see, there's a cross in front. So the lobby, that's the triple height, and that's where the dome is going to be. And we've got the rooms all around. And that's where I said the building reduces. And that's how the hotel is going to look. So very important to have a concept in mind of your design. When you're designing your lobby, etc., you should be thinking of it as a part, as a whole. You should know whether you want a glass building, what do you want to do. You may not be having a lot of, you can have arches, etc., in your building if that's the look that you desire. But then you have to design it, when you're sketching, think of all these lobby, ballroom that I'm telling you, and then also do a proper docket of sketches where even your elevation, your look, when you know what you want. So when you look out and when you go out to a hotel the next time, or when you're passing by a hotel, you can actually look at it as a whole. And as architects, I have a thing that I don't think so we can really get knowledge sitting in a room. It's more that we're people that will learn from seeing other buildings, and it's not copying or getting inspired. It's an experience of what works and what doesn't, and what you like and what a client also would like. So this is how we wanted these are the few sections, elevations of the building. If you see the boring part, that's where the rooms are. So that really will look similar to everything, That's how the sections, again, and these are all conceptuals, though we've dimensioned them, etc. These are all conceptuals, and over the period of time, over the last 2 years that we've been doing this building, they've changed subsequently. And I'll show you when we end this particular hotel, I'll show you where we are at right now. This is the villas that we're doing. Now, when we talk of a brand, so if your airport hotel comes up with a brand, and say any brand like a Marriott takes it up, or a Hyatt takes it up, or a Hilton takes it up, every brand has their way of looking at earning revenue. So sometimes you have different sizes of rooms. So you have they will tell you that we want a double bedroom, then you want a twin bed which has 2 single beds, then they want a suite in that, and then if you're then you have a presidential suite, and then you have a villa. So when you say a single room, and then when they say a suite, what we do is we combine 2 bays of rooms to make a suite. I'll show you in the next slide. But when it comes to a villa, you can actually go crazy, because you can design what you want. It's not connected to the building, number one. There are no columns that you want to really worry about in the building, which will influence a lot of things in a building. So if you think that you want to do your sky suites or something, then you can go crazy on the topmost level, because you don't really need all the columns coming up. So if you're thinking of that concept where, I think your height is about 30 meters. So if you have your building on you have a floor on the 27th floor, 27th meter, the last 3 meters you could use to actually accentuate the entire hotel building and go crazy on the top there, because you don't really need all the columns coming up on that topmost floor, because it's only it's only supporting one slab. So in this project, I couldn't really go crazy because of the rocky conditions in the building, on the main building. So we've created about 8 or 9 different options for villas, and we thought that we'll take it up as as a family. When they come in, they can actually choose which villa they want to. Essentially, every villa equals up to the same area. But what we've done is sometimes we've got two blocks combined. Sometimes we've got one block combined. Sometimes we put one block and one block on top of each other. But this is what allowed us to go a little crazy. So these are the rooms that I just told you about, that, you have one bay, and, this is called a bay. This one, where this one room is with this one entry, and this entire thing is one bay. So this is a double bed, which is a king size, we call it. And this is the twin bed, which has 2 single beds. So these rooms are usually given out to people who come in for conferences. So you don't want to give one guy a big kind of bed. It's better to accommodate 2 people conferencing in 2 single beds. If you see, what we are used to is, we are used to a cupboard here, actually right near the door. That's a usual trend. And then you have a bathroom on the side, and then you have a bed facing this wall. We were thinking of trying to do something different. We didn't end up doing this, but this was just an option where we thought we'll kind of change the cupboard orientation. And this also works because it becomes a little slight walk-in thing. So as soon as you enter, you don't see any cupboard. What you see is, you see the window with the view. You don't have anything blocking us from seeing that gorgeous view that we've got. Wash basin, WC, and shower, and a bathtub. Now, if it's an airport hotel, if you think that you don't want to do a luxury hotel, you're doing it mainly for business travelers, then you don't need a bathtub. What we say is that you say 4 fitting toilets. So this is a 4 fitting bath, which is a shower, bathtub, wash basin, and WC. So 4. So you can actually go with 3 in a commercial hotel. For a resort, you need a nice bathtub. Nowadays, in changing trends, because bathtubs and water, bathtub being expensive, water being scarce, we normally go in and just design a shower, WC, and a wash basin. So this is another, just a rendering, but if you see, the bed has changed its position. This is because the client didn't want the bed to face the view, because for some strange reason, the TV was an important factor. For travelers, I think TV makes sense, but our main motive was to show them the view, because they're there for that. But the client really kind of said, no, it's the television is more important, and which is why we flipped the bed to face the television. And just some patterns that we were experimenting with, that will work. This is all marble that we're trying. The room is usually wood. It can be marble, but what happens is with marble, it just becomes a little too cold with the air conditioning. So we try to use, if we want to kind of make it look upmarket, then a carpet is used with a wooden flooring. This is how the room has been envisaged. So if you see the arch at the back, seeing the view, and that's normal. I think, it's a view that, it's a room bed that everyone's been to. This is what we planned for the bathroom. We're looking at a lot of black and whites. And so just to kind of tell you that we copied this for a flat in Bombay, and Ria only did it up. And it was similar color combinations that we used, black and white and wood. This is the final design that we ended up with. Looks a bit different from, if you see, this is the plan. This, we thought that let's change a few things. we've experimented and we're doing the mock-ups now, and this looks good because we've called a vanity here. So if you see, the WC has a small wash basin. So as soon as you enter, okay, is we wanted more space. We didn't want to kind of enter into a corridor, which mostly all hotels have. So you come in and we wanted give a nice credenza here, nice design, and just step out a bit from here and then see the entire view. Uh, this concept will work even in an airport hotel. You don't need two wash basins. You can do it with one, but something different. People come into your hotel have to go back or go to Insta or go to Facebook and say that, oh, take a photo and say, oh, I love the room, because it wasn't like a cubby hole. It was like something where I went and it kind of opened up. And this is what, when the guest enters the room, this is what he's going to take back with him, that how the room was, and if he likes the room, he's going to like the hotel. This is something different, tough to digest, but we're doing it. So we've actually broken down the hotel concept and done this thing. Some elevations. This is how, and I don't know if you all end up doing the designing the interiors of a room in terms of so much in detail for the for your jury, but I think you should do it just to kind of have a feel of what you're designing. I mean, I think hotel designing is so much fun. I remember that when we had a hotel project, I started off with not I think I was second or third year in IES, and I had no clue of how I'm going to start doing a hotel because it's so vast. And I was very fortunate to be recommended a book called Arthur Haley's Hotel, and it's a fictional book. It has got nothing to do with architecture, but if you read it either on a Kindle or the hard copy, it'll actually tell you what happens at the back of a hotel, and you will really be able to design. It'll be very clear in your head that what happens in a lobby, what happens in a room, what happens in a service elevator. Like a Nikhil can come and talk to you and say that, okay, do a service elevator, do a lobby, do an elevator. But why? What is the story behind it? What will happen if we don't do these things? Is best if you read a fictional book of a hotel and understand what a hotel really is all about. It's a big thriving industry, and one small mistake by an architect will cost crores for a client. This is another of the room now that we've thought of. If you see how we've done the bed, it's a bit it's different because it's got all these Rajasthani things on the top, on the ceiling. This is the bathroom. This is the twin that we spoke of. Now we come to a suite. As you know, so when I say suite is nothing but two rooms combined, two bays combined. The suite will always go for a larger price than a normal room. So what do? So you don't design anything different. What you do is you combine two rooms and make a suite, out of which one will be the bedroom, one will be a living room, and it could also be a dining. There could be a small dining space if you have space within the bay area. Now our rooms are 45 square meters, which is about 450 square feet each. So this becomes about 990 square meters. You could range a hotel room anywhere from 30 square meters to 60 square meters. 30 will be really small and tiny, but if you're looking at making say 400 rooms in an airport hotel with no space, then you could probably do a very small room size and kind of place it like a jigsaw puzzle. 40 to 40, 38 to 45 is a good size. You could kind of do it in that, and talking net including the toilet. So if you see this suite, when you enter, you're entering from the top. There's a small room which we call the dressing or the vanity, which there's been no shower there. It's only if a guest is coming and eating with you, and you have a little sitting area, and then you have. So we try to do this. The toilet is a little larger here. If you see two wash basins, we've got a nice jacuzzi happening, and we've got a WC and a shower area with two doors, and again the bed. Finally, we'll see if I won, but again, I wanted to put the bed facing the window, and then I lose again. So the client very again wanted a television right there. But again, these are the concepts where you have the main wardrobe here, a dining. We try to create a small dining, restaurant dining experience here for them, which has a sofa and sitting here. Ria knows that I kind of like this a lot. We try to do it if we do any houses in Bombay, then we try to kind of push this concept. I really like the way this has come out. So if you see, this is that restaurant dining concept, because you're not really going to have, you're not going to have 3 meals in the room. So you're just going to have maybe 1 meal a day, and that could be a little, relaxed. You don't really need to come up with too much. Again, these are the 3Ds of the, that's the bathroom. That's again, that's the view. So if you see, we've done a lot of carpets here because we had to make it look rich. Wooden flooring really doesn't give that much of a rich look. So we've covered it up with carpet, but the base is wooden flooring. Again, this is what we're looking at. Bathroom, if you see, there are some different patterns on the floor. Now, when I say room, when we design a room, if you see on the left hand side, the photo shows the room photo, and that's how the room is in its raw shape. We're making the mock-ups, and we come to the main part of it is the shaft. So how do we design that? The most imperative thing is that any building in Bombay, residential building, will be designed with its shaft on the outer side. We don't do that for the hotels because we want to maximize the plan of the window space for the room, and that's why the shaft comes within. So when I say it's a double loaded corridor or a single loaded, if it's a double loaded, I'll have shafts on either side. So if you see, this is the shaft that is there. Now, one of the most commonly asked questions, and by architects to MEP consultants who really design the piping, is what is the ideal size of a shaft? And there is no ideal size. It's actually how you kind of design the bathroom and what results out of that shaft, and whether then you can fit the pipes. What we do is we usually give a 800 mm width of a shaft, which is about 2.5 feet, and that's good enough. That's the depth, and we give about 900 to 1 meter in the per room. But unfortunately, I'll tell you, we had a problem here. If you see that the column has gone right in the middle of the shaft, that's not the best of planning. I'm being honest with you, but we really couldn't help it. Is because of our topography. So there are a lot of times when we say that as architects we can design the world. It's usually true. Sometimes we have a structural engineer who says that, look, you're designing a room, but we can't really miss out a few columns. So it's important that we had to tweak it. We had a large shaft, one shaft, a little smaller than this, but the column came in the middle. So we had to divide it for each room. Not the best thing, and I know that it's not something that's ideal. So when you all are designing it, because you all don't have a structural engineer involved with you, or anyone who can spoil your design, and the sky is the word for you. So take your columns in, and you can give smaller shafts. So that will be a common thing that when you're designing, you'll struggle with. I would recommend you to take about 1100 by 800. That's a fair shaft size. And when you look at, if you want, you can look at typical shaft details, and they'll fit easily. You can be adventurous and make a shaft size of only about 300 or 350. Why would you do that? Is in America they do that. Is when the person who comes to service the pipe will stand in the corridor. We as Indians don't want to see someone who's repairing a pipe standing in the corridor. So the best is that the person goes inside the shaft and repairs the pipe, and you can close the shaft from behind. But if you're adventurous, if you're or if you're having a little trouble after you do the entire design, you could even pull off a 300 350 shaft. Just make it a little longer, make it about 1200, and then you're good to go. So if I'll show you some shaft details later. They're there in the presentation. But this is how it is. This is how a shaft looks. You would never have seen it unless you open or someone's left a shaft open in your hotel. Usually people are very strict hotel owners that they don't want a service guy to keep that door open. So it's very rare that you would have seen this. But this is how it looks. This inside of a shaft. And these are all the pipes and the AC duct will go in through that. That's a water tank detail, typical, very standard. Now, a commonly asked question is that, I had a few students who had come over, I think last semester, and asked me what to do, is that what happens to the pipes. Now, every shaft, if I have 400 rooms, I have 200 shafts. Okay. So I have pipes, 200 pipes of everything that come. And what happens? So there are two ways. Now, since mine was a small hotel and we had a shorter hotel, it's not a large hotel, and we had a lot of rock issues at the bottom. So if you see, our hotel is not a standard hotel. What we did is we took the ring main on the terrace. Now, when I say ring main, the ring main is a looping pipe. Okay, now what happens is that looping pipe can either be at the bottom of the building, which is what we are taught right through. Uh, and this was what I used to design all the time, that the ring main comes where the pipes go to the bottom and the ring main happens. On this project, this was something new that I learned, and we took the ring main on the top. So our engineers actually told me that, because we're having so much difficulty on the top, let's take the ring main on the terrace. So we've actually taken the ring main. So all the plumbing, all the pipes, your plumbing, your water, drainage pipe comes into one ring main, and all the waste or the water flows in through a common pipe and then goes wherever it wants. So the ring main is actually the distribution pipe. Either it distributes to the hotel or it distributes away from the hotel. Away in the sense is that it takes the drainage and sends it to the STP, or it gets the water from the water tank and supplies it to your pipe that goes to your bathroom. So that is one of the most important pipe, and it's called the ring main. So if you all have a service floor between the hotel rooms and the ballroom or the restaurant, you can actually have the ring main in the service floor. Either that, you can have it on the terrace, or you could also increase the height of your ground floor and have it in the ceiling uh, of your restaurant, etc. Not the Most people will tell you that that's not the ideal situation, but really in practice, we've done it a lot of times. Not a problem at all. We give trapdoors, and it can be easily accessed, and never a problem with leakage, etc. This is how the structure is. So as I told you that we had a lot of issues because of the rock, and that's how complicated our structure looks. So if you see anywhere where you see a large column and two columns on this next to it, this is where we had one room. So this is our one room where two crosses equal to one room. The smaller cross is the corridor, and then you have and then you have two. So this is how a room is. I would never want on when I start sketching to have a column to have a beam right in the middle of the room, but it's unfortunate. But since we have a large height there, we can actually cover it. So that's not a problem. But if when you all are designing in your head, try to avoid that central column. I mean, not try to, you should avoid it. I mean, there's no one going to come and tell you not to do that, because it's okay to do it. We have a building where we've not had that central column in the middle. And now we're back to this stage. We're again sketching because, as I told you, that those were the initial sketches. But since we've got time, if you see the dome, etc., now we're kind of getting into details of the project. So this is how we're detailing. So we've now gone into how the top of the balcony is going to look, or the terrace is going to look. And yeah. Yeah. So Parikshit, do I have time? What is my Sir, do I have time? Do I go ahead?
Can I ask you a question, Nikhil?
Yeah, sure.
Yeah. This is Prasad Anavkar. I'm one of the faculty. It's a great project, by the way, and
Yeah.
I like the entire way you explained it. Can you just talk about HVAC for the students' benefit? I saw those sections that you had, and
Yeah. So
yeah.
what I'll do is I might have an HVAC slide of another project on the slide. So
Okay,
I'll just go
okay,
through that.
yeah, okay, great, thanks.
Sorry, I'm just searching for it.
No problem.
So just to tell you one, since I got this slide, if you see the column here is removed. We've done 4 columns for 2 bays, and there's no column in the center. And this is the ideal column position that they should be. Yeah.
You can tell us what is the grid? Is it 9 by 9 meter or 12 by 12 meter, 6 by 6 meter, or what is it?
So you we that's now I will tell you a secret out here is that we usually like 9 by 9 because I learned it from you. 300, 300, 300. If you remember, I take everything 300. But the reason that it's 900 in the top project is because we've taken the center to center as 4.5. And then given 10 meters of the room size. So it really depends on what we design as the room. When I say 45 square meters of area, it depends on how you divide it. Either you do 4.5 and 10, or you do 5 and 8. So anything is okay. We can go, if you can give 5 meters of width of the room. It could be a little box room. So it depends on what your base size is. So it could be 4.5, it could be 5. It shouldn't be 6. The reason that it shouldn't be 6 is because you will lose out in terms of design on a number of rooms. So we never go to 6, but we can go till 5 and give a square room. For example, if you would go to a Four Seasons room, they are a little squarish. So they have a grid of about 5.25, if I'm not mistaken. And the hotel that we are doing is 4.5. Regis has a grid of about 4.4, I think 4.4 odd. So we're good in terms of 4.5 is a good standard thing. You can go to 5, you can go to 5.5. Don't go to 6 because 6 will mess up your design. The minute you have 6 means that you've actually you've not really taken the most of your design to give more rooms in your hotel. So if you see every block has we have something which is the AHU, okay, and when we on every floor we have to give this space for the AHU. There are 3 critical things when we talk of HVAC. We have an AC plant, we have an AHU on every floor, and then we have a FCU unit. Now there are various ways of which
Nikhil,
is available on
hello.
Google. And
Yeah,
yeah,
hi Nikhil, sorry to cut you. Can you make it larger?
yeah.
Yeah.
So 1 second now. I Give me a minute. I will take out my AutoCAD drawing, so it'll be easier for if you're talking of HVAC. Just 1 minute. Can you see AutoCAD?
Yeah, we can see.
Okay. So I'll just give a brief on the AC part. So what really happens when you want to cool a room? So is that you don't really leave the AC on the whole day. So the ACs have to be switched off in every room, and it can't happen that the room is that you can leave a room with the AC on, because then the client will really have a problem with money. So we have to design a hotel in which that whenever the room is not occupied, the AC is off. It's as simple as that. So how do we do that? So essentially, every room has a different unit, which we call the FCU unit. Okay, or it could be a VRU unit, which needs outdoor units on the top. Now, this FCU units are then connected to something called the AHU. Okay, the AHU has a larger machine. Okay, which will supply the cold air to the FCU unit through pipes. Now, this AHU, how can it be a standalone unit? You will ask me. Is that how is the AHU? What happens at the AHU? So the AHU is a large machine which will convert air into cold air and then supply it. But where does the equipment, or where does the raw material to run an AHU come from? Like, where does the air come from, or where does the cold water come from? It comes from an AC plant unit. That AC plant unit is then located where your back of the house is. So if you see, this is at our lowest point is our AC plant room. Okay, this AC plant room looks like this. And you could really actually go to Google and find out different AC units and etc. But essentially what we do is we have all these pumps etc. lying here. They have condensers, they have a primary pump. So when you're doing your back of the house, as I said, you talk of the lobby etc. You talk of elevators, you finish the ballroom, then you come to a position where you have to design your AC plant room. Now that AC plant room has to be centrally located to supply cold air, conceptual cold air, to the entire building. So if you have a building that is say 50 story, where would you put your AC plant room? You put it right where you have your shafts for the service part, which is at the bottom, maybe in the basement, but it has to be well connected. Then when I say well connected, connected to what? To the room? No. You have to identify on your floor plan an area where you can have your HVAC room, say at the corner, and that will be well connected to your AC plant room. Now, if in a resort, I really can't do that, because if you see I'm actually going all over this plot. My rooms are all over, and that is unfortunate. So my cost actually increases to make pipelines to go to that AHU. But fair enough. I mean, that's a cost that we have to deal with. We can't really look at it. But if you're looking at a building that is in one area, then you could actually have the AHUs and the AC plant at the bottom and connect them very easily through a shaft. Now, what we have here is that we've kept these outdoor cooling towers. Ours is a water-based AC system. So we have these cooling towers. Now, the reason is that you would ask me that why have you kept it so obnoxiously on a side? Why have you not hidden it? Now, we've actually kept it on the service road, but I would never recommend you to put it on the floor. We've done this because we get revenue from the terrace in Udaipur, because that's where the best view is. And that is why we've decided to do it on the at the bottom on the side. It was a tough call to take, but that is something that we needed to take because of revenue generating areas. I would actually take these cooling towers and put it on the terrace. That is the best place for a terrace, for a cooling tower on the terrace. I'll show you some more drawings. So when I said FCU, okay, this is your room that we design, and this is where your bed area comes. Now, it's not something that you may have noticed, but if you have, it's great, is that usually the toilet area and the vestibule, which is the corridor area of the room, is always a little shorter than your main bed area where you actually sleep. The reason that it's shorter is because you have these units called the FCU unit at the above it. So usually we take the height of the corridor, which is about 2400 or about 2500, and then you have the FCU on the top. This FCU is what I told you is where the where the pipe comes to cool the. Uh, this is the pipe that comes with the cool water, and where the toilet ends, you usually have a grill here. So this is a chilled water pipe. You can actually see the denotations, and you have a grill here like this, and this is your FC unit, and this is what throws the cold air to the entire room. We have an exhaust shaft which is also part of the AC. So if you see that there's never an exhaust fan in a hotel room, that is the reason is that you actually suck the foul smell by an exhaust pipe and take it through a duct above. So that is this exhaust duct. You see this red line, that is the toilet exhaust. So since we have the WC here, and we have all the other equipments here like the wash basin, etc., we will take in from a shaft here like a grill and then suck this and go here. And this is a very standard kind of room. So y'all can actually just take a snap of this, and this is how it is. It doesn't get any different from the thing. This is your shaft. So you'll have a treated fresh air or duct also that comes in. Okay, this one FCU and goes to the shaft here. Let me dig out what more I can dig out. Now, I've just spoken to you about is the rooms, but you have a lot of public areas which also will need air conditioning. So where do you really put these AHUs? If I start lining up an AHU for every public area in the hotel, I left with really no space where I'm really making money out of. So you have a lot of these AHUs that I spoke about, which is rooms, which in on top of a service lobby or on top of a guest lobby. So these things are designed on top. So if you see, these are AHUs, etc., will come under these on top of these service lobbies. These are also some of these shafts that I've got here, which are designed like this. I have, let's see if I can see one second. No, wait one second. Now the worst kind of AHUs that you require are for the ballroom. So if you see this red bands, these red bands are actually denoted for our the grills, etc., for the ballroom. The red band part is the ballroom, and then you have these kind of AHUs that happen. So when you're designing, I've told you that you do a kitchen area and you do this, and I told you all the fancy stuff. But the ugly part of the project is these services that actually hamper a lot. I would easily recommend you to actually, whilst designing, increase the height of the floors next to the ballroom. So you can easily fit all these AHUs for the ballroom. So we are using the floor space beneath this. This is for the ballroom. And this is all then connected to the different shafts that go down to the AC plant. So all the horizontal lines that you see is something that is heading into the AC plant room at the bottom. Then the AC also means that you're talking of exhaust. So what do you do to the kitchen exhausts, etc.? Again, you have to get them out of the building, either on the terrace or from grills. So fortunately, not fortunately, but because we have the whole Udaipur kind of look, wherever we've got grills, we've actually covered them up with a nice arch and stuff. So and the Udaipur detail is of a jali. So wherever we have these grills, metal grills, we're going to actually fix a jali on top to hide it. So next time, wherever you go into a building and you see something like a jali, etc., which looks good, at the back maybe just an exhaust for the AHU or the kitchen. This is how a AHU room will look. That's the unit. Huge stuff for a hotel. Anything in particular you want me to talk about?
This is great. Students, anything else? So here's your chance. I mean, this is.
Yeah, Nikhil.
Yeah.
This exhaust from the kitchen you talked about.
Yes,
Is it
sir.
from the cooking hoods which goes out, or
yes, sir.
with the smell? How do you take care of the smell, or is it?
So no. So there are these. You have these. We call them filters, but they're called brushes actually, air brushes sort of thing.
Yeah.
So they take care of the smell. What happens is that it's usually filtered, the food particles, and these things have to be cleaned every 6 months. So they're usually black in color once you kind of clean them, but they actually take care of the smell as well. I might have do you want to see how a typical kitchen looks maybe?
Not a bad idea.
This is for a project that we did in Udaipur. I've got the kitchen of that. This is the hot project, and so this was the lower basement. So oh, sorry. So the top part of the building is the kitchen, and the lower part is where the restaurant is, and the side is where the ballroom is. So as I said, it's very critical that the kitchen has to be where the restaurant is. So what we did is we actually created two kitchens. The one here, where my cursor is, was for the ballroom, and this kitchen was designed for the restaurants here. Now, when we talk of a kitchen, we don't only talk of a kitchen. We talk of an area which is called the back of the house. So when you read the story, your next story actually should happen is how a staff is entering the hotel. So now the staff actually comes with his home clothes, and he has to be in uniform when he enters the hotel. So he can't really just enter the hotel and start working. Like how any other person would do. They would just log in and start working. But here he needs to really have a bath. He needs to put on his uniform, polish his shoes, and then go to work and go to any department that he's in charge of. So when you come in, you have a space where you have a security and control office where you log in, and then you kind of go and go to your store, and you can then pick up your clothes, your uniform, and then go to a changing area and then change. So when you're designing, you need to have that route first of all finalized, that where does the guy end up wearing his uniform, and then where does he step out. You can't design it in such a way that he steps out right into the kitchen. So he has to step out again into a corridor and then go out back to whichever department he has. And if it's the kitchen, it's the kitchen. Now you have this entry parallel to the food coming in or the raw material coming in. And if it is you, if you're actually giving a wedding, your hotel for a wedding, you're also going to have a lot of trucks coming in with a lot of saman. You're going to have these decoration come material coming in, etc. So how do you kind of parallelly kind of design it? That will be the key to a good designer, because it's going to be so complicated if you get into these details. But it's fun, because once you've achieved it, it's as good as designing a good building. Unfortunately, we as architects really look at and I'm also to blame for it, is that I take this up at the last whenever we're designing something, and that's not right, but this is what we usually do. But if when you're doing your exercise of the airport hotel, if you could kind of start doing all these three things together parallelly, it'll be somewhat achieving nirvana, because that's something that we really never do. So try to do that. It'll be fun. So when I say, when the receiving dock, if you see there's a word called the receiving dock. The receiving dock is where you get all this raw material in a truck. If you see, there's just a blue line there. There's not a step. The reason that is because the truck will come, and the truck is a little higher than your usual base. So what happens is that the man can stand at the blue line and access the truck. So they don't have to really load it to the floor and then into that. So that is kept at a plinth height, and the truck comes and touches that blue line, and then you can unload it. Now, conceptually, a food coming into the hotel, coming into a hotel, is very similar to what you would do at your own house, where first, you will come into the door with your bags. You will put your bag somewhere. Then you will, one by one, you will take out stuff. You will sort it. Then you will sort that, and then you will decide where what goes. In the sense, in a store area, some will go in the cabinet, some will go into the refrigerator, some will go into the freezer, and some will be kept out. And that is what happens is when you sort it out. So this receiving dock, okay, which is a place where you will also sort out what comes, and then it will go to different areas of the kitchen. So once you've sorted it out, and you have these really large freezers that come, and you put everything in, and that's when your actual cooking process starts, which is again similar to a home. It's only that it's there are lots of different areas that you divide it. So it's like a fancy home, where you have a non-veg prepared separately, you have a veg prepared separately, maybe you have the gravies prepared separately. Okay, then you have the cold food prepared separately. So the best thing is that in the name of exercise, you should go to a hotel and have the buffet, and then see what all different foods are there, and identify how many different departments will a kitchen need to kind of store that. So if you go to the fruit section, these fruits will be kept separately. Then there'll be salads, so the salads will be kept separately. In the vegetable section, there'll be ice cream will be kept in a freezer. Non-veg, you have a lot of cold cuts. These cold cuts are kept in the freezer, but you also have butter chicken will be gravy, so that will be prepared separately in a hot food area. So if you see, there are so many departments within a kitchen. Okay, you have a confectionery, which is where you prepare the sweet part of it. You have a tandoor preparation, so there that area will have the tandoors kept for your starters, for your paneer tikka or your chicken tikka. Then you have a hot food preparation. Okay, now this hot food preparation will have all your gravies, etc. Now what happens is that the chicken tikka will be prepared in the tandoor area, and the hot food will have the gravy. And if someone asks for a chicken tikka masala, they will mix the two and give it to the restaurant. Otherwise, it will be served separately. Then you have you have a kind of a cold food area. You have a bakery on the top, if you see. So that is where the goods, your bread, your croissants for the morning, all of them are prepared. If you look at the bottom, you have a service bar, okay, which is where the bar is, where the alcohol is stored. You have a bar store. So again, if you see, the bar is a little segregated from the kitchen. It's at the bottom and it has an access directly. So when you get your alcohol bottles from the in the hotel gets his alcohol bottles, they don't need to go through the kitchen to store it. They can come directly out from another entry and go into the service bar and keep that. Now, next to that, you see a specialty kitchen, which is a specialty restaurant. Sorry, but that is the kitchen of the specialty restaurant. So wherever you go, you have a normal coffee shop and you have a specialty restaurant. So that specialty restaurant, it could be pizzas, it could be a Chinese restaurant, that will have a separate kitchen. Usually the specialty restaurant opens up only for dinner. So that doesn't need a really big kitchen. And the gravies could be prepared in the hot food area or the cold food area and then mixed up in the night. So the restaurant, the kitchen, the specialty kitchen is small. If it's a pizza place, then you just need a nice big a kind of your what's it, the oven or whatever that's required for pizza. Then if you see, you have a veg prep and meat prep, so pre-prep. So this is where you kind of soak in your vegetables and meat separately. So again, that's different. uh, no hotel will have it the same. So usually, because in Bombay, you would, if you really have a combined kitchen, and that the news comes out that you have a combined kitchen, that hotel will have no people coming in, at least no vegetarians, which no Jains, no vegetarians coming in, and that will be a huge loss to the hotel industry. So every hotel, wherever in India, has to have a veg separate and a meat separate. Abroad, it might not be the same, but this is a very Indian thing where you cook veg separately and meat separately. So in case you're not going to the hotel because you feel that they cook it together and that's why we shouldn't go, if you're vegetarian, I think you should go because it's completely cooked differently. Uh, Now we come to a separate kitchen, which is your banquet kitchen. So what happens is that usually you have your hotel in normal service and you have a hotel when there is a wedding. And when that hotel comes, you don't want to load this kitchen with 400 people food. So it's always ideal. Even in the earlier hotel that I showed you, which was the Ritz Carlton, we had a separate kitchen designed for the banquet, and that's important. You have to have a smaller banquet kitchen, which also enables you to have restaurants on another level and the banquet on another level. You don't really need to have it on the same level, but you have to have the kitchen along with close to that particular function. Also, I think I missed out a room service prep. I think it was somewhere. It should be here in the. Yeah, so that, yeah, below, next to the service bar at the bottom, you'll see a room service thing. So this is where the room service food will kind of come and then take it up. So you'll also have the receptionist for the person who picks up your phone if you call for room service, and then the food first comes here and then goes to from via the elevator, so that the person who's on the phone talking to you about your in-room dining has enough knowledge of what is happening with your food. So they don't give you answers like, oh, I'll let me check and get back to you. They know where your food actually is, whether it's in the hot prep, cold prep, or it has come to them. If it has come to them, they'll tell you that, it's 5 minutes away. It's not like a Swiggy, or I mean, it's not like a normal restaurant pickup where they say, oh, Abhi on the way hai. They know each and every bit of where your food is. This is the like an overview of a kitchen. Anything else, in particular?
Any questions from the student? Nikhil, I just have one observation, or maybe
Yeah.
this thing. How do you think? What are the I mean, what are the effects, after effects after this pandemic, as per the new normals? Do you think there will be drastic change in terms of space planning, in terms of operations? So definitely, but in terms of space planning.
So I'll tell you what, hotel industry is very revenue based. Okay, so if it's a longish story. It's not like drastic repercussions right directly. If you're funding your construction from another hotel, then you're in trouble. So obviously you're going to look at everything smaller. So when you say that what are the repercussions, instead of having two banquets, I'll probably just have one. Okay, because you're not going to have, you don't know when you're going to have a wedding that's going to have 1,000 people now next. It's a cultural change. People are happy with even 100 200 people marrying with 200 people. So you don't really need to design stuff which is for 1,000 people. So we had that problem where we designed two halls for 1,000 each, and we've cut down already on one, and we made one into about 500 odd. So repercussions in terms of designing a space, in terms of how you enter, etc. No, I don't think so, because we've always it's been very unless you're designing a very crowded hotel, but you usually are designing spaces where they're more artistic and they're more quieter in terms of, even when there is a rush of people that comes in, you're not going to have a cacophony of noise in the lobby. Everyone gets separated to do their check-in, etc. So that is not something that we're going to look at in terms of crowd. It's not going to change. And safety norms have always been there, because most brands are international brands, and they've been taking a safety check in terms of fire, in terms of health checks also have always been happening throughout. So not in that manner, but yes, revenue generated changes will happen.
Yes, agreed.
Nikhil, what about technology-based changes? Like you mentioned somewhere that, for example, the reception, the grand receptions that most of the hotels
Yeah,
have might disappear because you can now just check in using technology.
correct,
Yeah.
correct, correct, correct.
So some
So
of these, the technology-driven changes, like even with automation, uh, the keys will go away. You can just check in with your phone or something like that. I'm just wondering if those are.
no, that's very in. So we have a lot of vendors coming in. Unfortunately, I've not had a client who's been so advanced to actually accept that kind of financial implication on his project. For sure, in the RITs that we're doing, which will come up next year, we are trying to not have check-in in the lobby, or at least not have checkout in the lobby. So you check out in your room, and you then will leave directly. You don't really need to get into the reception to uh, leave the premise. So, but saying that, right now, as of today, it's still very manual, that I can still check it into my room where a person comes and checks in. But the technology that they use is that they can get their iPad and check in from there, and that really saves a lot of time. Uh, for someone to check in uh, with the technology, in terms of that you need a table where technology has to happen, is very difficult, because then you'll have a line of people. It's a cultural change. Is everyone wanting to accept that in today's times is also something. When I go to a resort, or maybe even if you go to a resort, you want to be pampered. That is why you're really going to the resort. You want
Right.
someone to come and say, hi sir, how are you, can I check in for you, and take your bags, etc. You're
Yeah.
designing an airport hotel for business travelers, then you're looking at one of the lower trends of check-in. But everywhere you still have someone manually operating it. But to check in, there are lots of apps, lot of softwares available with a financial implication, where you don't need a reception at all. You come in, go to your room, check in and go to your room. And that's completely possible. But in India, still a dream. We still need a little manual pampering. I think it's something that we require.
Sure, sure. Yeah.
Saying that, I see, I have all the plans in office, all these projects, about 4 5 projects. If the students really decide to come in groups and they want to just look at it and see through them, they can absolutely come in at any time. Just tell me when they're coming, and in batches of 4 or 5 or 6, and they can actually go through the plans to understand, because a presentation really, like, these plans are too small to, I mean, they're too big to actually show it on a screen. So if they want to really understand it, they can come in anytime. The office is open for IES students.
Yeah, thanks, Nikhil, for that. Um, Guys, do you have any question? Thanks, Nikhil. But I think you have covered most of the important factors, including structural system as well as MEP services. So I think it's a great experience for the student. Um, I hope they have understood.
Yeah,
The
it's difficult to actually understand a hotel project so soon. It's a very vast subject, but I think if they can design with what I told them of how to start off, I think at least they can get something on paper very easily. They start the lobby, they start the entrance, elevator bank, ballroom, and I mean the banquet, and then the kitchen, like a flow chart, and then everything will fall into place. It's not it looks very vast and difficult, but they're very easy once you
Yeah, of
get these
course.
flow charts in.
Because almost there are 20, minimum 20 consultants involved in the hotel design, including your BOH, including your
Yeah, yeah,
kitchen
absolutely,
consultant. Yeah. So
absolutely.
of course, as an architect, you are the captain of the ship. So at least you should know all those basics thing, and you'll have to coordinate. Majorly, you'll have to coordinate all those factors, because ultimately, if something pops out, then in between, due to some difficult services, then it will
Yeah,
be major failure to the project.
correct, correct.
Yeah, because I've seen literally those sprinklers. I've seen in Radisson, in in one of the Asian country, that they have mentioned over there in the on the sprinkler. Don't put your clothes on the sprinkler. So I mean, still people are not aware what exactly those are. I mean, those services are there for their for their safety or something like that.
Correct. True, true, very true, very true.
Yeah. Uh, so thanks, Nikhil. Thanks a lot.
Most
Uh,
welcome.
it's a great pleasure to have you on the board, and uh,
Cool.
I'm sure currently students are not speaking much, but they will be definitely having some kind of questions.
Yeah,
Then I'll keep you posted on that.
as long as they're awake.
Yeah, that's a major challenge for these
No, I'm
organizations.
saying if I spoke too much, then maybe they've all fallen asleep. That's why.
No, no,
But
no.
they can always come back and ask me questions. If you want, I mean, they can just WhatsApp me, and I'll try to kind of solve
Yeah, I'll
whatever.
keep you posted.
And yeah, and if they want to see the drawings, I think Ria has. I think Ria worked on the Ritz Carlton, so I think she has the drawings, so she can actually even go through it
Yes,
with her friends and her classmates, etc. And for any other services, drawings, etc., they can contact me, Ria. If there's anything, let me know.
surely, sir. Yes, sir.
Thanks for that.
Cool.
Thank you so much, sir.
Perfect. Thanks. Done. We're done.
Yeah, yeah. Thank you. Thanks, Nikhil, for your
Bye.
time.
See you.
Yeah, for your time. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank
Bye,
you.
Gaurish sir. Bye, Rajan sir. Bye.
Bye.
Gauri sir is here. I don't think Gauri sir is here. Guys, just quickly log in into the services lecture. We'll take our attendance and then we'll dismiss the class.
Yes, sir.
Yes, sir. Yes.